with your legs bent and with your right index finger, hook your right big toe. And those of you who need to imagine that, please, please imagine that. And now lift and lower your right foot from the floor and see how it is on Thursday morning. And put it down. Do that several times and notice onto what part of your pelvis do you rock? Can you feel where does the pressure go as you lift the foot and as you place the foot on the floor? Where does the pressure go? Bless you. Whoever that. Hopefully it doesn't go forward. Now, please continue and lean on the floor behind you with your left hand. Notice how leaning on the floor already introduces a bias. Can you feel where you've shifted your weight? Now, the next time that you go to lift the foot from the floor, straighten the leg a little bit. And then put it back down. So you lift the foot, you straighten the leg a little bit, and now where does that take your pelvis on the floor? Even further back? Yeah. Now find out, how gently can you do this? And the gentleness is not so that you're being extra nice to yourself, but it has a really definite purpose. If you lift the leg gently, then you tend not to thrust the thigh into the hip socket. You don't experience the pressure of the thigh pushing into the hip socket, because if your nervous system senses that, it feels like it has to hold you. Because that's the sense you get when you're standing on one leg, yes? All of the pressure goes into the hip socket, the brain registers, standing, support, push, and the muscles don't let the leg move very much. So if you lift the leg gently and you don't get much thrust back into the hip socket, it's going to be a very, very different experience. So this is where I encourage you. If you need to imagine having a long index finger and pretending to hook the toe, do it. Because then you won't get the sense of the thigh being pushed into the hip socket, and the hip will be much freer. Or, I can see there's some socks lying around, or if you have a sock, wrap the sock around your big toe, hold the sock. The lesson will work just as well, I assure you. Yeah, hey, there's the proof. Yeah, and the longer the sock, the better, right? And this is where you get to beg, borrow socks. Yeah, that's good. A strap will be good, yeah. Now, the next time that you have your leg lifted and a little bit lengthened, see if it's possible to take the knee and put it onto the inside of the arm. So it crosses the boundary from the outside to the inside. And then you lift your foot again, you lengthen the leg a little bit, and then you take the knee to the outside of the arm. That's it. And this is where the left hand becomes a very good. This is where the left hand becomes a very handy thing. That wasn't meant to be a joke. That was pathetic. Yeah, it becomes useful. Because notice what you have to do with your hips to bring the knee to the outside and then the inside. Can you feel how you shift on your pelvis? When the knee is on the inside, how far onto that left buttock are you? Now I can see a variation. If you position your left hand in just the right place, you're able to go down onto the elbow. So as you flip that knee to the inside, try going down onto the elbow. It does make it easier. Yes, it does. So there's something about the movement of the leg and the shifting of your weight Great, let that be and rest a little bit, please. Let me take your mind back a long, long time ago to Tuesday afternoon. And when we were all gathered around down here at the front of the pillar, and I made that comment that you have all these vertebrae intervening between your pelvis and your head. And it's possible to treat those vertebrae and make them almost work like a stick, so that there's basically no movement. Or you can allow the vertebrae to move easily relative to each other. And it's just a coordination. One way you create a stick, the other way you create a mobile dynamic mast. Please come up to sit again. Hook the right big toe, lean on the floor behind you with your left hand. Lift the foot up into the air and start to take the knee inside and outside and inside and outside. And pay close attention. What do you do with the length of your spine to allow the pelvis to shift further to the left and then return? For some of you, it'll be easier to track the changing shape of your torso and spine. So notice, when does the torso become even more curved? And when does it become less curved? Now, the next time that your knee is on the inside of the elbow, start to take the right foot further around to your right, as if you wanted to put it on the floor somewhere behind you. And then come back, flip the knee to the outside, and then repeat that process many, many times. And of course, if you're on your elbow, you'll have to come off your elbow, because your elbow will then, leaning on your elbow will be a limitation. It'll stop you taking the foot further around. That's it. Now please continue. And when you flip your knee to the outside of the elbow, take the foot, the right foot, further around to the left, as if you wanted to put it on the floor somewhere to your left. That's it. And now clearly notice which buttock you sit on when the foot's over to the left. And now just do that. Take the foot all the way around to the right. If you can put it on the floor, put it on the floor, and then Take it all the way around to the left, flipping the knee to the other side of the elbow. And go left and right and left and right. And some of you were doing this spontaneously on Tuesday. That's when I made the comment that some people do things that are just inherent in our structure. They do it right from the start. That's it. Stop and rest, please. Roll yourself up to sit. Have both legs bent. Hook the right big toe. And lean on the floor with your left hand behind you there. Now lift the foot and take it around to the right and around to the left, flipping it from the inside to the outside, inside, outside of the arm. You'll find it, yeah, that's good. I was about to say you'll find it easier. Now, as the foot goes around, could you turn your head in the same direction that the foot is going in? And notice, does that make a difference if you involve your head and your shoulders? Now take the right foot even further around to the right. How do you do that? How do you get that right foot even further around? And I notice that some people's left knee is starting to lift from the floor. Why not? Why not lift that left knee from the floor? Matter of fact, could that left knee lift from the floor so high that it ends up leaning on the floor the other way? So you end up with your left knee on the floor somewhere near your right knee when you're going to the right. Yeah, there it is, and the knee just flips over. You're pretty, yeah, almost there, that's cool. Hey, I saw you do it, you know, come on. Uh-huh. That's the direction we're heading. Okay? Great, let that be and rest, please. So learning involves finding out something that you don't know yet. Because if you knew it, it wouldn't be learning. It would be practicing and it would be exercising. So inherent within the definition of learning is not knowing, finding out. And for some individuals, that can be a scary place, not knowing. And generally speaking, the more expert you are, the more scary it is. Because there's a certain comfort in knowing. Some of us identify with it. And when you go out of that comfort zone and you don't know, all sorts of different emotions start to pop up. So the ability to be comfortable with not knowing is really an essential part of being a good learner. Come up to sitting again, please. And now this time, take hold of your right foot with your left hand from where? Yeah, just hook the big toe. Hook the big toe with your left hand of the right foot. And lift and lower it from the floor. So I think this is the first time we've done this, yes? Left hand to right foot. So it's always been right to right, right to right. Now this is left to right. And some of you have already placed your right hand behind you. I think you might have learned something. See, the support that that hand provides frees your spine, frees your torso to let go of some of its postural work. Now, straighten the leg when you lift it, and then as you lower it, bend it. And see whether it's possible to bring the right knee to the outside of the left elbow. Now, right now, it's important to not struggle. Just thought I'd mention that. Right now, it's important not to struggle. So experiment. Where do you put that right hand? On which buttock do you need to sit more to introduce that right knee underneath that left elbow? And do you need to bend more with your trunk or less with your trunk? Great. Now, replace the right foot on the floor and change your grip. Instead of holding the big toe, could you please hold the foot palm to sole, holding the outside edge, the little toe side. And this is where you have to start to adjust for yourself. If this creates jamming up into your hip joint, don't do it. Pretend that you're holding the sole of the foot. Imagine that you're doing it. Do anything, but don't create that sense of the thigh jamming into the hip socket. So it's the palm to the sole, the left palm to the right sole. That's the palm to the top of the foot. So think, what is it to touch the palm of the left hand to the sole of the right foot? That's how you're holding the foot. Yeah, that's it. And when you hold the foot like this, do you have to find a different place to bend in your trunk? Yeah.
The hands come from the outside, right?
No, think of the palm of the left hand being in contact with the sole of the right foot.
Right. But the hand is initiated from outside of the foot.
Well, first of all, yeah, I can hear your question. Put the left hand, the palm of the left hand, into contact with the sole of the right foot. Has that answered your question?
Can I say something?
No, we haven't finished yet. Please.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I was making it harder.
Yeah, that's coming next. Okay. Yes, what's the question? Okay. So these variations, the only thing important about them is they provide a different experience, which you then encounter and have to deal with. It's kind of like a little microcosm of life, no? Life throws something at you. Do you have the resources to be able to deal with it? So if you're being kind to yourself or loving yourself, if you're going at a certain pace, if you're monitoring your breathing, if you keep asking, can I do it from a little bit over here? Can I do it from a little bit over there? You are already quite resourceful. You're now practicing being even more resourceful. Rest a little bit, please. I said something on Tuesday afternoon that I would like to amend. I said that the movements were silly. Yes, they are. And then I said they're not important for most people. Well, and I made the case for they would be important for athletes and maybe performing artists. But when I was lying in bed that night, I thought to myself, you know, there's a lot of people in trouble with troubles for whom the movement is actually quite important. And I think that's why Feldenkrais invented functional integration. Because if you're in a lot of trouble, you need really specific attention. Experiences that are crafted just for you and you alone. And then the movement becomes elaborated and you become an able human being. And then, of course, that allows you to articulate into awareness through movement lessons. And then the awareness through movement lessons, there's something different. So yes, for some people, the movements are vitally important. Please come up to sitting. And now let's go for the last variation. Take hold of the top of your right foot with the palm of your left hand so that you're on the dorsal side, the side of your foot that's facing the ceiling when you're standing. Ooh. Yeah. Great. And lift the foot and lower it like that. And there you are, Jane. Yeah.
Thank you. I guess I asked myself, what the hardest way to do?
Yeah, a lot of people do like the hardest way first, yes? Grit your teeth and go. Yeah, that is a way of doing it. Take and explore the possibility of taking the elbow inside and outside, sorry, of taking the knee inside and outside of the left elbow. And the clue is, the more you shift onto that right buttock, the less easy it becomes. You're very welcome. I thought I'd share that profundity with you. Like I don't know that. You have a question? You look like you're about to ask me something. Oh yeah, can I share that with the group? Don't pull your shoulder out.
Can you repeat that with the buttocks?
Yeah, the more you lean onto the right buttock, the harder this becomes. Yeah? So for some of you, you'll have to let go of that right hand or use it in a different way. Is there a way of using that right hand to shorten the right side? Yeah, there is, depending on where you put the hand. Nice. Yep, it is possible. Excellent. Let that be, please. Rest a little bit. Come up to sitting. And before we go on any further, please come up to standing. Because so far everything has been asymmetrical. So notice what doing asymmetrical movements, what kind of experience that creates inside you. And maybe walk a little bit. Just check it out. Having done everything on one side, what's the effect? Especially notice what happens when you land and stand over the left foot, and then when you land and stand over the right foot. Good, and please return to your place. And let's not leave you asymmetrical. Sit with your legs bent. And let's put into practice something that we all discussed on Tuesday, which is this business of extending the period between the thinking and the doing. Remember that how Feldenkrais argued that that's the basis for awareness? So what would happen if you extended the period, whatever that meant for each of you? For some of you, it'll be very long, and for some of you, it'll be, you speak. Yeah. Extend the period between hearing the instruction and actually doing it. Yeah. So let that be the focal point of your attention. When you hear something that involves an intentional movement, let that land. Let it actually percolate a bit, make sense to you, and then do it. So let's make that the practice on this side. So sit with your legs bent. And take hold of your left big toe with your left index finger. And lift and lower your foot from the floor. And experiment with that, sometimes leaning on the floor behind with your right hand and sometimes not, just to find out what is different. Which way, with hand or without hand, makes it lighter to lift the leg? Which one lets you breathe? So it's left hand to left foot. Sorry. I was looking at... That's okay. That's all right. The next time that you lift your foot, lengthen it. Lengthen the leg. And experience, where does your weight go when you lengthen the leg? Does it go more forward or does it go more back? Go in the direction that facilitates your breathing. In other words, go in the direction where you feel you're not going to fall. Because the fear of falling is one of those old parts of the brain, hardwired. And it's possible to overcome that fear, but at the expense of the ease of the movement. And now please continue, and as you start to lengthen the leg, think that you want to take the knee to the inside of the arm, and then bend it, bend the leg, and then lengthen the leg, take it to the outside of the arm, and bend the leg, and just continue like that, playing. And you could think to yourself that each flip of the leg is a new intention. And you just create that little bit of space between the intention and the execution, the performance, the enactment of the intention. And it could be that for some of you, that little bit of extra space takes you into a way of doing it that is different to how you usually do it. And start to play now with the idea of taking that left foot further around to the left behind you and putting it on the floor. And then picking the foot up and taking it all the way around to the right and tipping over the cup and putting the foot on the floor. Notice how much shift there is of your weight over the buttocks as you go around to the left and around to the right. That left foot might get so far back around you to the left that you have to release the right hand on the floor. Then keeping the hand on the floor becomes a hindrance. Great. Leave it, rest. That was really nicely done. Yes, I hear a voice. Yes. You want to ask a question about intention? Yeah, sure.
When you're saying, what's your intention, or have the intention and then pause?
Mm-hmm.
Not sure exactly what you mean.
Okay.
For me, I think of it as a question. Where, if I do that, what's that going to do? And then, or are you saying I should have an intention like this time I want to move more onto my right?
Right. Well, thanks for the question. So, it's like I am offering you an intention. And the intention is this: lift your left foot from the floor. Rather than giving you an instruction, it's like I'm giving you an intention on loan, an intentional movement to explore. And then if you actually absorb that as your own intention, because this is what we do every day, we form an intention, you know, I want to go to the fridge, I want to get something. That's an intention in real life. It's not usually now I'm going to lift the right buttock. So we have our intentions and then we execute them. But most of us have no idea of their execution. That's why if you give a little bit of a space between the intention and the act, you can become aware of what's going on. So if I verbalize to you the intention, lift your left foot from the floor, and you give yourself some space, you go, lift my left foot from the floor. What does that mean to me? Oh, that means, this is how I'm going to do it. You do it. And then you're in the exploratory mode. Does that make sense? Yep. And these, over the last few years, this is how I've taken to explaining the movements, each little movement in lessons to people, rather than saying, these are instructions that you must follow. These are like little intentions that I'm offering you to explore, and each different movement is a new intention. And you explore that, and then you explore that, and you explore that, and eventually it all adds up into one big movement. So the example of going to the fridge, you first have to get up off the chair, then you have to take a step, then you have to shift your weight to take hold of the handle, and you have to, so you can break down the task. Yep. So the same thing, same process in the lesson. So thanks for the question. Please roll on up to sit. Take hold of the left foot with the right index finger. Now notice, even if you just take that on as an intention, there is a direction of reaching. And in the direction of that reaching, you already have to shift your weight. Did you notice? You've got to shift your weight to get your finger there. And then intend to lift the foot from the floor. And then explore that intention. Now, the more skillful you become at playing this game of exploring your intention, the more creative you get. Now, when I lift my foot, will I shift my weight over into that buttock or that buttock or that buttock? In other words, the pre-motor planning time increases. Whoa. You could almost do several variations without even lifting your foot in that pre-motor planning time. Now change the hold that you have on your foot and place the palm of the right hand against the sole of the left foot, holding the little toe side, the little toe edge. And explore the intention of lifting and lowering the foot. And without struggling, think of taking your elbow to the outside, think of taking your knee to the outside of the right elbow, and then to the inside of the right elbow. And if you go 1 millimeter in that direction, that is already the intention being enacted. Yeah, as far as your nervous system is concerned, the motor plan has been launched. The button has been pushed and go. And if you move 1 millimeter in that direction, you already are doing the intention. And how far do you take it? Well, to the point that it starts to feel a little different, that it doesn't start to feel as easy, and then you just go back. Or as Feldenkrais usually puts it, when it stops feeling like the first moment that you started to do the movement, you stop, you go back. When the quality changes, you stop, you go back. Great, and now change the hold of your foot so that the palm is now resting on the upper surface of the foot, not the sole, and continue exploring what you're exploring. Now, maybe for some of you, holding the foot like this is more of a tug on the arm and the shoulder than the leg. So then be very attentive to what happens with your neck. If your arm is working hard, then there's a good chance that you're stiffening your neck. What would happen if you let the neck be soft? To let your grip on the foot be not so much a grip, but just a contact. So this notion of holding transforms into from choking, choking the foot, to just lightly touching, like holding a good friend's hand walking down the street. And when you hold the foot like that, like you would hold a good friend's hand, does something change in your neck, in your shoulder, in your ability to move the knee, under the arm to the other side. See, you're able to take your foot so far the other side, you could take the foot behind you, right? Why don't you do that? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so is it possible to put the left foot on the floor to the left? Now, if you don't feel internally that that's possible, don't struggle with it. Just hold that idea in your mind for some later date until it becomes possible, and then you can surprise yourself. Oh, you're there. If the foot is all the way around to the left, which buttock do you think you'll be sitting on? Ah, the right buttock. There's the answer. We didn't do this on the other side, I don't think. That's okay, because I didn't see it on the other side. So there you go. Thank you very much. Stop, leave that alone and rest, please. And before you come up to stand, reflect. Was that a different way of working with yourself? For some of you, this might be absolutely standard. For others, it comes and goes. And for some of you, it might be a different way of working. Intentionally creating a delay between the intention and its execution. In your own time, roll to one side, come up to stand. Feel what it's like to stand. Have you evened up? Or now have you become asymmetrical on the other side? All right, walk a little bit, experience yourself walking, and please have a 10-minute break.